I should have said no, but I was carried away by what I thought I couldn't resist. He was too handsome, and what I saw in between his two legs triggered me to ask for more. That moment I did it with him, and it went on and on. My stepdad's secret destroyed my mom, and I'll carry the blame for the rest of my life. Hi and welcome back here. If this is your first time here, kindly subscribe and hit on notifications. For my returning subscribers, thank you for being part of this amazing family. I had been away for years, 6, to be precise. Canada had been my safe haven after my parents' divorce when I was little. Mom, Frida, had worked tirelessly to keep my life stable, even after marrying Frederick. At first, I had been unsure of him. He was wealthy, confident, and always dressed like he had a board meeting in 5 minutes. But he was good to Mom, and for a long time, that was all I cared about. When Mom called, her voice was light and excited. "Kelly, it's been too long. Come home for a while. I miss you." I booked my ticket without thinking twice. I was ready to see my childhood room again, eat Mom's cooking, and maybe, finally, feel like I belonged in that house. The day I arrived, Frederick greeted me like family, arms wide open, a smile that felt too practiced. "Kelly, look at you. Canada's been good to you." I smiled politely. We hugged. It felt normal. That evening, we all sat down for dinner. Mom kept glancing between us with that warm, proud look she always had when her family was together. Frederick asked about my job, my friends, my plans. I thought nothing of it. He was my stepdad, after all. But as the days passed, I noticed things. The way his eyes lingered a second too long when I walked into the room. The way he accidentally brushed my arm in the hallway. The way his compliments became strangely personal. At first, I brushed it off. Maybe it was just my imagination. He was a businessman, maybe he was just naturally charming. But the truth was, his attention felt different, like there was something beneath it. One night, Mom had gone to visit a friend. I was watching TV in the living room when Frederick came in, sat too close, and asked if I was happy in Canada. The conversation shifted in ways I can't explain, but by the end of it, I felt a knot in my stomach. That was the first night the line between stepfather and stepdaughter blurred, and once crossed, there was no going back. It didn't happen all at once. It started with conversations that felt harmless, then grew into moments that left me confused and ashamed. Frederick had a way of making me feel seen, like every word I said mattered. I'd never had that kind of attention before, not even from men my own age. It was intoxicating, and dangerous. Soon, I found myself waiting for him to come home. We'd sit on the balcony late at night while Mom slept, talking about life, business, dreams. His voice was smooth, his presence magnetic. Somewhere deep down, I knew it was wrong, but I told myself it was just friendship. But it wasn't. The first time he crossed the line, my heart pounded in my ears. I froze, caught between pushing him away and letting the moment happen. I told myself, just this once. But it wasn't just once. Every night after that, we found reasons to be alone. In the kitchen, in the living room, on the balcony. And every night, I felt the weight of guilt pressing harder on my chest. I started avoiding Mom in the mornings. I couldn't look her in the eyes without feeling like the worst person alive. She was kind, trusting, and proud of me, completely unaware of the betrayal happening right under her nose. Frederick seemed unfazed by the risk. "We're not hurting anyone," he whispered one night. "As long as she doesn't find out." But I was hurting someone, my mother. And deep down, I was hurting myself. I began losing sleep, my appetite vanished, and my mind was constantly at war. The guilt was unbearable, yet I couldn't stop. Frederick had woven himself into my thoughts, and every time I tried to pull away, he pulled me back in with his charm. The nightmare was only beginning. It happened on a Sunday afternoon. Mom had been out grocery shopping, and Frederick and I were in the living room. We were careless, too comfortable in our secrecy. I didn't even hear her come in. The sound of the shopping bags hitting the floor is something I'll never forget. I turned, and there she was, standing frozen, eyes wide, her face pale. The silence that followed was suffocating. "Mom," I started, but my voice broke. Her eyes filled with tears, but they weren't the kind that fell, they were the kind that burned. "How long?" she asked, her voice low and trembling. I couldn't speak. Frederick said nothing. She turned and walked out of the room. I followed her, begging for her to listen, to let me explain, even though I knew there was no explanation that could make it right. For days, she barely spoke to me. The house became a prison of silence. Frederick carried on like nothing had happened, but Mom's eyes were hollow. I'd taken something from her that could never be replaced, her trust. 3 days later, I came home to find the lights off. The air felt heavy, still. I called out for her, but there was no answer. My feet carried me to her room, and that's when I saw her. The note was short. "I can't live with this pain." I dropped to my knees, screaming, but it was too late. My mother was gone. The guilt was a weight that crushed my chest, my soul, my future. Frederick didn't even attend the funeral. He left the country within a week, his empire untouched. I, on the other hand, was left with nothing but the memory of my mother's laughter, and the knowledge that I was part of what took it away. Betrayal doesn't always come from strangers. Sometimes it comes from the people who share our home, our trust, our love. Choices made in weakness can destroy more than just relationships, they can destroy lives. If you ever find this story relatable and interesting, kindly subscribe to my channel for more interesting stories.